Yeah, so we're waiting for Kylan to get the camera started. Yeah,
He did.
like
He did
saying-
point at us. Oh, he's
pointed
he's
at us,
really
yeah.
he's really pointing now.
Okay, hold on, restream.
Are we streaming?
Hold
Can
on,
you guys see
I'm
us?
clicking. Periscope.
Oh,
Hold on, see if I can see
Technical
ourselves in
difficulties.
Periscope. But mute. All right, cool. We are live. All right.
oh, I got it.
We are completely live. Thanks everybody for joining us. Today I'm back, finally. I've been on a whole bunch of travel. So glad to join everybody for another Friday live Q&A here at Edge. And joined by...
Brett Musser, also known as Maverick. That's my middle name. True
It's a middle
story.
name. But every time I go around with you, you kind of like switch it up.
I
like,
do.
Hey,
mix
my
it
name's
up.
Maverick. Hey,
Well,
my name's Brett.
It depends on the context and what I'm feeling at the time.
If you're
right?
feeling like, you were left by your parents, Maverick.
Exactly.
Yeah. Feel like you're working in crypto, Edge. Cool. So, a lot to cover today. A lot's been going on in the past week. I've been gone for about 3 weeks. A lot of travel. Went to Asia. I think Token 2049 kind of kicked off my disappearance from San Diego, along with the trips through, China, other parts of Asia, Japan, Korea. We just came back from CIS.
Los Angeles, City of Angels.
Yeah, Crypto Investment Summit over in LA. And
Silicon Beach.
You can say a little bit of that. We got a beach here too. We just don't have as much silicon. But we'll cover that a little bit as well. But some of the key things that people are asking. So this is our live Q&A. What's the week been like? One of the biggest things that we're noticing, and our users are definitely noticing, there has been ongoing DDoS attack on Electrum servers.
And
Right.
can you explain what a
What
DDoS
is a
attack
attack?
is for
So,
non-techies like me?
DDoS, so DDoS, just like our country, the great USA, it's an acronym. Because what in this country isn't an acronym? So DDoS, it's a distributed denial of service attack. So it's an attempt at taking servers down by basically flooding them with traffic. And if you have been in the Bitcoin space for a while, you may have recalled a desktop wallet called Electrum. It actually leverages nodes on the network which run additional layers of software on top of a regular Bitcoin node. And that helps index transactions, basically makes it easier for a wallet to query the network. And there may be thousands of nodes on Bitcoin, but there's hundreds of servers that run Electrum on top of the node. And Edge utilizes Electrum servers to connect to the network. Well, there was a DDoS attack, meaning that these servers were flooded with traffic to basically try to take them down. And the best guess as to why the DDoS attack occurred in the first place, like why expend energy and bandwidth and money to take them down? Well, there are a host of servers that are running that they're not entirely malicious. They're kind of malicious in that if you connect to one of these using the desktop Electrum wallet and you try to send a transaction, it will actually generate an error, and then the old versions of the Electrum wallet would pop up on your screen with this error, but a link to click on to quote unquote fix the error. Right? It would say, oh, your transaction failed. It's because of this and that reason. Please click on this link to rebroadcast. And it would bring you to a website which would ask you to then insert your private key.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, the kind of naive Bitcoin user would go and insert their private key, and then off goes their money.
But since we're not naive,
Well,
what do we do?
not only we're not naive, but we're not the target desktop Electrum wallet. We're our own implementation, so that error doesn't even show to the user. Plus, Edge and our previous app Airbits utilize multiple different services to broadcast the transaction. So these nodes are actually, in a way, not malicious in the way that we would use them, because we don't broadcast transactions through them, right? They're simply just a regular node on the network that relays transactions and serves up historical data of transactions to users. So because of the denial of service attack, a lot of older Electrum nodes were taken out. Our previous app, Airbits, we haven't touched the code base, so for anyone that's using Airbits, definitely please upgrade to Edge. Airbits, being an older code base, relied on older versions of the Electrum server. And as fewer and fewer of those servers continued to exist on the network, it became harder and harder for the older app to connect to the network. And with the DDoS attack occurring, it, from what we can tell, took out the remaining of the servers that were on the network.
And Airbits was more affected than Edge was.
By far, Airbits was definitely.
And we've had a bunch of users move over to Edge. And if you are an old Airbits user, all you have to do is download Edge, type in your username and password. Your phone will download your account and decrypt it locally on the device, and all your assets will be right where you left them.
Yep, exactly. We designed it specifically for that. It's the same account system on Airbits' Edge. But of course, once you get your your account into Edge and you see your Bitcoin on there, you now have the ability to add multiple different assets. You can even split your Bitcoin if you never took out your Bitcoin Cash or your BSV. You can take all of that out and then either sell it, hold it, trade it, whatever you'd like. So that's kind of the summary of this.
I have a question
DDoS
about it. Is the attack still ongoing on the Electrum servers?
Or has to our best guess, it looks like it still is ongoing.
Okay.
We're not seeing some of these other servers that were hit hard come back online. But it could just simply be that they need to kind of reboot and resync to the network. And before then, they're just not online
So
yet.
is there something that we're doing to, I guess, solve this, or are we moving away from Electrum X? Is there a need to move away?
We're not moving away from Electrum. It's a very widely used technology. It's been hardened over the years, and plus it supports many different currencies. So while I mentioned Electrum and the Electrum servers, most of them run a version of a server called Electrum X. I mentioned them in the landscape of Bitcoin. The software is actually so flexible that it can run almost any fork of Bitcoin. So Dogecoin, Litecoin, Qtum, Decred now, a bunch of different similar currencies to Bitcoin are now supported in the Electrum software. And so it's not that we're looking towards moving away from them, but the reason why Edge isn't nearly as affected as Airbits is because it can connect to a wide variety of the different types of Electrum servers, and not all of them were taken out.
Yeah.
Right. Many of them were still functional, and so we're able to connect to quite a few of those.
Have users seen any, or I should say Edge users in particular, have they seen any issues? Or should they know of any issues to contact support with?
So because there are still inherently fewer servers on the network that are functioning, we have heard of some users on Edge that have experienced issues, of which usually hitting a resync. There's 3 dots to the right of your wallet. You tap that, hit resync, and what that does is it kind of reshuffles the servers that it tries to connect to.
Okay.
Right. Starts.
It's
like
a refresh.
It's almost like a refresh, and it says, okay, which ones I'm connecting to aren't. I'm not having good luck with the ones I'm trying to connect to. Let's kind of start from scratch.
Try some other ones.
Yeah. Re-download a new set and try to connect all over again. That usually resolves any issues. And the main issue that people are seeing is detecting a transaction, and it's very rare on Edge. It's almost guaranteed on Airbits. Like you're not going to detect money right now. And so for those that are using Edge, if that green bar at the top isn't fully completing, that could be that as well. Airbits shows you a loading indicator. If either of those don't complete, that could be a sign that you're having trouble connecting to some servers. So just want to give an update on that. That is definitely probably the most common question we're getting is like, hey, what's going on over here? And there have been some user reports. You can probably search on that Electrum server DDoS attack, and you'll see quite a few articles written about it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Next, we went on to the next topic.
On that note, we were mentioning how Electrum supports all these different currencies.
Yeah.
There's forks of it or native support for Bitcoin Cash and BSV.
Ooh. You just said a naughty word.
Ooh, hot topic.
BSV.
Uh-oh.
Do we say Craig Wright?
Am I gonna get spanked?
Maybe.
Yes.
So
definitely
there's a lot to
topic.
unpack.
A lot to unpack with the BSV action that's happened over the past week.
And things to separate. Everything's kind of lumped into.
Everything's lumped in, and
where
I think
Craig Wright equals BSV.
I think this is a really common part of. First, I used to say cryptocurrency is that people just lump stuff in together. But then I realized
it's hard to differentiate.
It's hard to
everything's so new.
But I'm realizing this is not a common thing with crypto. This is a common thing with humanity.
Yep.
Right? If I don't like someone and someone else introduced me to someone else, I'm going to kind of instantly not like them either.
Yep.
Right? That's just part of humanity. And so it would be fortunate if we were able to more closely dissect the different things that we come across. Like I've met a lot of people in the Bitcoin Cash community before the split to BSV, liked a lot of them, believed in a lot of what their ideals were on more, not so much cryptocurrency, consensus mechanism, big or small blocks, but just what they were trying to achieve for the world.
Life in general.
Yeah, just life in general, and our world in general. And I like them. Some of them are the people that have now forked off and decided to support PSV. And so I don't like them any less.
Yeah.
But it takes more energy on my part to dissect like who's who and who believes in what and do I support that mission. And admittedly, I don't support the mission of what Craig Wright is doing when he's suing people.
Yeah.
So that's probably the core of what I definitely personally disagree with.
We can separate Craig Wright from BSV, or
Correct.
at least we do at Edge.
Yeah.
And
And
he
so-
seems to be a serial forger and manipulator. That's
That's what it appears to be.
At the very least.
Right.
There's questions about even his credentials. Right.
Correct.
Does he actually have a PhD? And that's up for question. Some of the signatures that he's provided in court documents have been outright lies. And he's shown the ability to be malicious towards people in the crypto community.
Correct.
Having said that,
Having said that,
we have thousands of users that use BSV, and we try to make judgments based on technical merits, not personalities. Because if we did that, there could be an infinite regress on all of the coins.
There's terrible people in Bitcoin.
There's terrible people that have used Bitcoin, Ethereum. We've met terrible people in every group or community, and great people in every group.
Yeah.
So we're not going to punish our users because Craig Wright forges documents and attacks other people.
Yeah.
That happens in life in general, and people. The fact of the matter is, people can send BSV from one to another. There's mining. There's wallet resources. There's servers that support the network.
Right.
And there's users that use it. And our first priority are users, not necessarily, defending other community members.
Right. And I realize that there's really close association. Craig Wright and the team and companies that he has built have a strong influence on the core protocol of BSV. Now, if that influence starts to go in a negative direction, like they start building a protocol that becomes much more malicious in some way, shape, or form, then that could be definitely grounds for removing the coin. But as we see it today in its current state, there's a core group of people that are working on just simply the tech and trying to advance it, like testing. Like, while I don't even think a block today should be 100 megs, I like the fact that they're testing it and hitting the bottlenecks and seeing what the limits are and seeing what it would take to get there, even if it's not possible.
Well, isn't part of the scientific method is figuring out what doesn't work?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a new test case on what doesn't work, and then I know there's people in the BSV community that have a completely different interpretation of Bitcoin from the Bitcoin Cash people or the Bitcoin Gold or the people that represent BTC. And they might see it more of a storage layer or unstoppable code, right? More than maybe a digital gold or a digital cash, right? There's all types of valid interpretations that could be had. And there are I know there's a bunch of developers building on top of BSV.
There are,
regardless, they don't necessarily agree with Craig Wright or like it, but they might agree with the vision, and they're building on the tech. And we're going to help people out that do that.
Exactly. And there's been a lot of criticism of the tech that they're building. For example, I think 6 blocks got reorged on BSV.
Yeah,
it looked terrible.
But there was no double spend.
There wasn't a double spend, but there could have been.
There could have been.
There easily could have been. But realize they're kind of pushing that limit. They're pushing the limit of block size where you can get orphan blocks pretty easily. And so I'm seeing, while there are great projects that are trying to build on top of BSV, like heck, using it as a file system, almost IPFS-like. Not that that's necessarily a long-term good idea, but I'm seeing this as experimental. Exactly. Our entire space is experimental. Some currencies are more experimental than others, but I'd love to see where they go with it. Yeah. And so I want to support that. I don't support what the single person is doing.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a general idea. I don't like using the legal system against other people.
Yeah.
And it is definitely much harder to separate the two as a whole. But I think right now it warrants that level of separation. So I can choose to not support a person, but support a technology that they also support. In the same sense, I don't support some people in the BCH camp or the BTC or in the Ether camp.
On this, let's talk about what don't we support. And I know we talked about this. We've talked about this over time. There's a particular project, and like, why don't we support it?
So of all the
because we support 10, BSV for technical reasons,
correct,
right? And we have a user base. So our first priority and responsibility is to our user base, who holds money on there. So regardless of whether there's Twitter mobs or people that don't like Craig Wright, that is completely separate to the issue that we're trying to solve here.
Right. So with the one project that, based on analysis of both the white paper and the occurrence of or the state of the network, that we don't currently support is IOTA. Now, I'm not going to shit on the project and say that we're never going to, but the current state of its network is such that it mandatorily has to be fully centrally validated. But that was not what was promised as the architecture. The architecture was that it would be this DAG where individual nodes would actually validate transactions. And based on the analysis by our chief architect, William Swanson, he deemed that didn't look like it was going to work. And literally within a week after reading it, they chose to have to centralize the validation. Admittedly, I haven't looked at it recently, so I stand to be corrected. Someone please feel free to comment on any of our feeds if I'm wrong. But if that has changed and they fixed the problem, whether it be hard fork, soft fork, or whatever you want to call it, medium size fork, if you're able to fix that problem, then it's something that we would revisit. So I try not to take the past and learn from it, but don't blind yourself to the future because of it. So as of its current state, we wouldn't.
Things could
you know,
change.
its architecture right now, its technology requires full centralization of validation, and that wasn't what was promised, right? Like when they built it, no, it was not supposed to be. So currently, we don't support it, and we don't have plans to support it unless that changes. So if it does, okay, we'll definitely revisit and see where it goes from there. So currently today, you know, we do not provide exchange services inside of as a company. We don't provide exchange services. We provide those through partnerships. So of course, we are limited as far as support of BSV and any other currency to our exchange partners. And so if they choose to, and they're totally welcome to, if they delist BSV, then we effectively would be delisting BSV as well, you know, and wouldn't be able to exchange it from a private key and wallet and send and receive. That the wallet will continue to support. That way, people don't effectively lose money.
Yeah.
You know, with a software update, we don't want people losing access to their funds. And so it's there today. You know, in the foreseeable future, we imagine that it'll continue to be supported as well. And if people just stop using it, then it starts dying off.
Yeah, and then we might not support it, right?
Yeah. But in the meantime, it still has people wanting the support, utilizing the support.
Yeah.
And there still actually are exchange partners that are supporting it, that are integrated into.
I mean,
Edge.
we've been getting phone calls pretty much every day since it split, or how to split BSV, or do you have buying for BSV? So
if anything,
we know there's demand out there for it.
If there's people that simply want to be able to exit out of a position in BSV, then we're able to facilitate that.
Exactly.
You know, so to me, the delisting is a double-edged sword for someone that doesn't like a currency. So it gives it negative press, so therefore it drops the price of the currency, but it also makes it harder for people to get out.
Which
is
will help its price.
Which
right?
helps some other coins. So if, say you're a Bitcoin fan, you want to be able to get out of BSV and get into Bitcoin, that's actually harder to do if you lose support for BSV. So obviously there is one-way sided support, and I think Change Now had announced that they are going to be delisting BSV for buy.
Okay.
But retaining the ability to sell.
Yeah, which is completely up to them.
Completely up to them, their choice.
If all our exchange partners delist it, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah,
and,
nothing we do.
You know, it's not really a battle we're going to fight.
Yeah.
You know, but we are going to continue support in the wallet for those users that do like to use BSV and are building on top of it.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the mini.
Some people aren't going to like that.
Some people are going to like that,
but
for sure.
Unfortunately, we're committed to our users and what they want.
Yep. And so we'll continue on that path. And so if you have any comments about that, feel free to post, and we'll try to answer them as speedily and best as we can.
What do we got next?
Cool. All right. So partnerships.
We'll talk about product.
A little about product and partnerships. So as you know, Edge is really built on partnerships. We're currently in the live app partnered with 6 different exchanges. You know, 4 to help with crypto to crypto, Shapeshift, Change Now, as we mentioned earlier, Changelly, and Fast by BitAccess, and then Wire for U.S. bank on-ramping of Bitcoin, Ether, and DAI, as well as Simplex, which allows people to buy crypto with a credit card or debit card around the world. And we're seeing great volume increases across our exchange partners over the past several months. I think, you know, as prices start to trickle up, people are getting excited.
It kind of feels like 2016 a little bit. No,
you
know, where it was like trickling up a little bit.
Maybe
right?
like
I don't know.
You know, some of the bumps of 15.
It's not 2017.
Not 2017.
It's tail end of 2015.
16.
That's what it feels
we'd be a year early if it was 2016. I feel
okay,
like. Maybe. You know, because last year's equivalent of 2014.
Anyways, got it off on a tangent.
But anyway, on that tangent, we recently announced, and I wanted to recap this for you guys on the Q&A, that we are implementing, launched in beta, the ability to sell into a credit card. You know, and that's a partnership with Simplex. We've been working with them on this project for several months now, really close with them. We're excited to announce it and get it into the hands of people. So if you haven't already signed up for the beta, go to edge.app/beta and go and register for it, iOS and Android. We can send you a beta version of the application probably by tomorrow. They'll support this. Right now, only supported in EU. So if you are in Europe or have a friend in Europe, definitely let them know to sign up for it. But the cool thing about this feature is it kind of replaces the need for these like Bitcoin debit cards. Like, they've been pretty popular. Do you ever have one?
I mean, I've been using one for like 3 years now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. So these Bitcoin debit cards, which first you have to buy, and you get no points for them. Like you get almost no benefits for them. But
I know I'm going to use it.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because I got a few credit cards, you can get points on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here you can actually use a credit card you already own and just simply top it up in a way. You kind of like top it up with Bitcoin, and it supports multiple. I think you're going to do all the different supported currencies: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, XRP,
Yeah.
and Ether.
Yeah, not only do they support multiple assets, but they also can cover a large percentage of the I guess the population that would be interested in digital currencies, because they're not just a regional exchange, right? Pretty much anyone with a Visa or MasterCard, which is a pretty substantial amount of the
part of the world.
Yeah, part of the world will be able to buy and sell crypto directly from those credit cards.
Yeah, so we're hoping to scale that past Europe pretty quickly, but right now for the beta and maybe the initial release, it'll be just Europe. But we expect that to hit the U.S. and other countries
It's
pretty
cool
quickly.
Functionality, because both those systems are completely separate, and there isn't a lot of overlap. So
there isn't.
Bridging the gap between credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, and Bitcoin, XRP is it's a simple thing that the user does, but the back end is, putting it all together is messy.
It got a little bit messier.
Yeah.
But one thing we noticed that if there's a lot of services, Simplex being one, but a lot of services that let you buy using a credit card or a debit card, because a lot of people see that on-ramping is what's so critical. It's hard to get crypto. But I think I know as crypto becomes more valuable, people are now seeing more of their wealth in crypto, and therefore having a bigger need to actually spend it.
For sure.
So, you guys have heard us say this over and over again, but here at Edge, we've never, ever given people fiat for payment, like for payroll.
Not once.
So even our contractors, they all get crypto. And so we're in a need to be able to spend it. And this actually facilitates the ability to spend crypto pretty easily in a card that you might already have, like your bank with rewards and whatnot. And so we're excited about this release. And so hopefully people are excited too. Give it a try and let us know. Once again, edge.app/beta, and just sign up with your email. We'll send you a link to download it in iOS and Android. Cool. Excited about that. And we're rolling out of time. Probably last thing we cover, just what's coming up. Do we have any events that we're headed to?
I think you might be going to Consensus.
Actually, yes. I'll be headed over to Consensus, but actually as well, Token Summit. I'll be speaking over at Token Summit.
Is that in LA?
So it's right out. No, it's actually right after Consensus.
In New York City.
In New York. So details for that aren't out yet as far as like when, what time. But catch me over at Token Summit. I think it's the day after Consensus. So I'll be speaking there in New York.
Okay.
Say hi. Otherwise, maybe bump into you in the halls of Consensus.
I'll be here in San Diego. It's pretty nice out.
It is. It's gorgeous. Winter is no longer here.
I'm going to be going to the beach while you're in New York City.
Son of a beach.
And you're not in the office, so you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
that
don't
beer
know
doesn't
I'm
match this weather. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I think it goes with it.
It looks so warm.
Oh.
Looks so warm.
Well, I did reduce it.
Yeah.
For the summer.
Right. For San Diego. Well, cool. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next Friday, and hopefully another couple people on our team to talk to you guys about what's going on then.